welcome to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty. We're presented by JosephAuto.com. We are here at the Moerlein Lager House tonight. We have a big crowd here because everybody's excited. J.K. Schaffer in the house with us tonight. Mr. Cincinnati with us. He's done it all in this city, so we'll talk to him about all of that. Of course, first, I have friends here with no Doc. Maybe we leave it a little empty. We should have left an empty chair for Doc and his feelings to hang out at. But Doc has decided last week's show was so good, so positive, it was too much. He couldn't take it. He had to get out of here, refused to do another one. But luckily, Lindsay Patterson, pulse of the fan base, you are here with us. Lindsay, how was your bye week? Did you do anything fantastic?
I watched a lot of football. I was pretty lazy.
I'll tell you what, I was almost a bit sick of football by the end of it. We're not used to this type of thing, covering games. We're there constantly where we see our game and then we're working in the locker room, whatever. It was odd watching that much football. I was kind of tired of it.
No, not me. I enjoyed sitting on the couch doing nothing and watching football teams play and not worrying about a loss.
Joe, I'm sure that you spend it in a state of relaxation. I'm sure you did nothing strenuous at all. Maybe you did like a yoga class or something, some namaste time for you.
No, not yoga, Paul. I just relaxed in the robe the entire weekend, had the pipe out and the footy pajamas, and just relaxed at the homestead.
I think you can get fired for that. I don't know that you're allowed to do that. And no more stories about you in a robe. I don't like that at all.
To hear that, Joe.
Well, we don't have Doc with us, so let's talk football. I want to get you run the Reedy report card, which sometimes people like to do these at the halfway point, but this is a perfect point in the season to really have some retrospect on where the Bengals sit right now. Let's run down the report card, and you defend your thesis a little bit, defend your work. Let's start here. Pass offense. You gave the Bengals at this point a C.
Yep.
Defend yourself.
Well, first off, with the report card, you're taking the entire body of work into account. So last 3 games, not heavily weighted. Each game weighed equally. October, great. November, not so good. September, average. When you weigh it out and all the grades and everything, it comes out to a perfect 2.0 right now.
Is the roller coaster makes this a difficult judge for me, because you look at did you give out an A+ to the pass game one week, didn't you? Or you were close to it?
Pass defense got the A+.
Well, you've given out some pretty high grades this year, and you look at the overall, I feel like it has the potential over the last 5 games to get that bump into that BA area, but you're still waiting. Because of the last month, it has really plummeted.
Yeah, and I think when you look at, like I said, Chicago, great. Week 2, Pittsburgh, not so good. Green Bay, okay. Cleveland, awful. Then started to climb up and then to plummet down. So right now it's very average, and when you look at the receivers, you look at the tight ends, you look at pass protection, and you look at Andy with the ability to hang on to the ball too much too.
Yeah, and interceptions is really where most of that comes from. So let's keep moving. You have, for the run offense, you dipped into the D.
Yep.
You went D as in dog, D+. Why so low on the run?
Well, you have the possibility of the first time since 1996, no 100-yard rusher in a single game. You look at Giovanni Bernard, I know there's been a lot of fanfare, but you look at the quality rush stat from Stats Inc. It goes down to about 45%, same as Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. This run game has underwhelmed me very much so far, and it needs to produce better in December. Because let's face it, second half of last year, that November run was very good on 100-yard runs. And since then, really has been disappointing the entire year, maybe except for New England and Buffalo.
I feel like, though, too, Jay Gruden's kind of like a rock in a hard place because he's trying so much. You have all these receivers and the tight ends. You're trying to do so much with all the playmakers that eventually you do have to get the run game back. You have two guys that can run the ball a little differently with Giovanni Bernard, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and we aren't seeing it. So, I think the D is a perfect grade for it.
In a passing league, is that fair, though? Teams don't necessarily need to. There's not a lot of. You talk about the lack of the 100-yard game. There's not a lot of those anywhere. This is not the league where that's how teams are winning games anymore.
Yeah, but look, 2 examples. Denver proved that they could run last week, even though they got Peyton Manning. Ran it very effectively out of the pistol, I might add. The problem you're seeing with Indianapolis right now, with the loss of Reggie Wayne, they thought they were getting a run game with Trent Richardson. They're very one-dimensional, and they've been struggling the last month or so, which shows you that if you have a very average to below average run game. Look at Cleveland. If you have a competent quarterback in Cleveland, they might do well, except for the fact that every three offensive plays out of 4, they're passing the ball. You can't get out of whack, and that's the biggest thing right now.
A team looking for identity, I believe, is what you're trying to say. So let's move to the defense. Run defense. I have you with a B- for the run defense. That's not bad. That's about right, I'd say.
Yeah, probably be about a B to B plus area. 2 100-yard runners, though, given up this year. Franklin basically in a half in that Miami game kind of weighs it down a little.
Yeah, that was you're right though. It really was a half here. You haven't seen that one full game where they're getting gashed. They've found ways to sort of plug it so it doesn't continue to go on. Let's keep moving. Okay, pass defense. You've got it at a B.
Yeah, I think that A plus against New England, which in the 5-year history of the report card was the first A plus ever handed out. It was kind of like Nadia Comaneci in Montreal.
You are the German judge.
10.
You're the German judge. You are tough on these guys.
I'm the East German judge.
Well, that's right. That's much worse. Do you buy this, Linz?
I think, maybe a B plus. Come on, Joe. They're dealing with some injuries. I'd probably try to bump it up a little bit. I'm still amazed with what the defense is being able to do at the moment with. It's unbelievable. They are pretty much still at the same pace with losing Geno Atkins, probably one of the best players on defense in the NFL. Leon Hall, I think we forget about losing him in Detroit. So I'm pretty impressed with it. I'd probably bump it up to a B plus, Joe.
Look at the pass stats around the league. I'm with Lindsay on this. Teams are throwing all over the place. One single 300-yard passer this year, Matt Stafford. And if it isn't for Calvin Johnson being an absolute freak of nature, that one doesn't even happen. And you could go lifetime achievement with Mike Zimmer on this one, dating back to how many in a row he had before that. I think I think you're underrating them.
Yeah.
I would maybe even go up into the A- area with the pass defense. I think they've been better than you're giving them credit for.
Did we convince you to change it?
It's too late. It's already happened. And trust me, we know he's not gonna.
I think the one major thing, and granted I'm weighing this over 11 games, is I think we still haven't seen this true pass defense yet with the injuries.
Oh, and we'll learn real quick. Phil
quick.
Rivers awaits. So special teams, you have him at a B-. I imagine that has surged of late.
Coverage units good, return units need to be better. But the coverage units heavily weighted. Penalties
are really the deal with special teams this year. That's been the issue. Coaching, you have it a B-. Marvin, you should give him a little bump just for how good Marvin was on Beyond the Stripes here last week.
5 for 5 on challenges.
He's on fire.
Come on.
Jay's weighing it down a little bit. I got to admit. Marvin 5 for 5 on replay challenges, but Jay and the identity of this offense is a big hindrance on this grade right now.
Identity may be the issue. Still a top 10 unit at this point, though. So let's give credit where credit's due. Well, you've heard enough from us. We want to thank everybody that's come out here to the Moerlein Lager House because you are here to hear from J.K. Schaffer. So we're going to go to a quick break here on Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by JustFido.com. We'll be right back with J.K.
I repeat, do not buy a 2013 Chevy from another dealer. Not when you can get a 2014 from Joseph Chevrolet for the same price or less. Seriously, Joseph Chevrolet's 2014s are a better deal than anyone else's 2013s. $129 a month for a new Cruise? Up to $6,500 off a 2014 Silverado? Now that's a clearance sale. Don't pay more for a 2013 than a 2014. Come to Joseph Chevrolet now.
Uncle Ray.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the bands coming to the
shared
show?
That's
great. I missed the story.
Sure, what?
If you don't read The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
All right, welcome back to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by JosephAuto.com. We're still here at the Moerlein Lager House. Hope everybody is out here drinking tonight. I assume you are, if I know this type of crew. I want to welcome J.K. Schaffer to the desk here with us. J.K.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
J.K., thank you for joining us tonight. Well, we've got questions, but first, you're going to hear plenty for us. Let's go to Lindsay, who's been monitoring the Twitterverse very carefully. What are they saying?
A lot of people on Twitter weighing in, but I'll go with this one. Ryan3 wants to know the difference between Brian Kelly and Butch Jones.
If I had a dime for every time I was asked that question.
Yeah.
I enjoyed both of them a lot because we won, and that's winning. Makes everything good. But Coach Kelly, he was a more CEO type. He run it. He'd run practice by letting his coaches do their jobs, and him being more of just an organizer. And we didn't see him a whole lot away from practice or games or meetings. Whereas Butch Jones, we saw him all the time. He was always involved. He had an open door policy where we would come in and just sit down and talk with him. Sometimes not even about football. So we were on a lot more personal level with Coach Jones rather than Coach Kelly, but I like both of them.
You can be honest. Which one did you like more?
That's tough. I definitely had a better personal relationship and better relationship overall with Coach Jones.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we got to talk about what really was some of the most important football that you played in this town. I believe you played at St. Ignatius, the Wildcats.
I did. I got some fellow Wildcats back there. And I was just back at St. Ignatius over the bye week. I stopped there. I think it was Tuesday or Thursday or one of those days last week. I stopped over there for a little while, and there's a little guy by the name of Joey Trotta, and he's gone through some tough things. He had a brain tumor and stuff, and he's just a good little kid, and I enjoy going over there and seeing him.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you that about what prompted that trip. Do you do stuff like that? Do you go back there very often? And do you still have a connection back with people back there pretty closely?
Absolutely. I still have connection with people and families, still with the parish. And I try to get back there at least once a year to walk around the school and see some of my old teachers and talk to the principal and just see the kids and show my face around there.
Well, I've got one question off of that. I think this is a good one. If you could go back and play one game with your old teammates, which place would you go to? St. Ives, LaSalle, or UC?
That's tough. I'd probably go back to LaSalle and play against St. X with my teammates.
Wow. Going back, did you win any? How many games against St. X did you win in your time there? Sorry, I didn't mean to bring this up. I honestly don't know that off the top of my head. Is it one? Is it one, JK? It's not one. It's 0. No. That's why you want to go back and play St. X one more time.
Absolutely. And I don't feel the need to go back and play Elder because we used to beat up on them pretty good. So, and I say that because my grandpa went to Elder and he's sitting over there. So
I knew it wouldn't take long for GCL trash talk to take over this desk.
Well, it didn't help that when I walked in and one of the girls at the front desk said, "What school did you go to, Elder?" And I said, gave her an angry look, but it was funny.
JK, just going back to last year, you had a great preseason with Jacksonville. Unfortunately, got released. Kind of a long couple months because you were on that tryout tour before signing here. Just what was that like, those couple months, and how do you stay positive and try to stay upbeat going on kind of what we call the Tuesday tour?
Yeah, it's been a tough year and a half, up until this point, and starting to smooth out a little bit. But, talking to one of my buddies, and he gave me this name. I call it my dues paid story. It's like I've definitely paid my dues, and I've been through the hardships of being a free agent NFL football player. It's not easy. They can get rid of you at any point in time. You can have the best game of your life, and then you walk in the door on Monday, and they say, sorry, we don't have any more room for you. So it's definitely been tough, but it's all worth it now. And I always knew that I was still going to have an opportunity, and once I got my opportunity to take full advantage of it, and like I said, it's pretty sweet now. So it's all worth it.
Like you said, you get the opportunities. You're playing in Cincinnati, where you're from. What's it like going on the field each time, knowing this could be my last opportunity, or this could, I could have more games ahead?
It's awesome, but it's nerve-wracking at the same time. Because like you said, you never know when it's going to be your last time. And that's just the crazy thing about football in general, but especially the NFL. You never know when you're going to have your last play. But every time I walk out there, when we go running out of the tunnel, and I'm looking around, I'm in Paul Brown Stadium, where I've sat and watched games, and I've watched on TV, and it's a wild feeling. I'm not going to lie about it.
It never gets ordinary, does it? I mean, it never is an ordinary thing to run out of that tunnel.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
I think people get the thought that if you're an NFL player, if you're in your 6th, 7th, 8th year, eventually you're just going out there, it's business-like. But I don't feel like that would ever be the case, especially in that building for you. It's always going to be a little different playing for your hometown team. So when you first came out, you were undrafted. Was there a shot to come back here? Did you have to choose between here and Jacksonville?
Yep. I actually had about 23 offers, from different teams in the NFL, and I knew going into the process that it was going to boil down to either Jacksonville or Cincinnati. Those were the two teams that were showing me the most interest, in which the two teams that looked like I had the best opportunity to come in and play. And yeah, it was a tough decision. It was one of the hardest days of my life. But Jacksonville only had 5 linebackers at the time. The linebacker coach had been all over me for months, calling me literally every single day. And when I finally made my decision with my agent, I decided that was going to be my best place to have my best opportunity, and made that call. And hindsight's 20/20, but looking back and looking at the information I was provided with, and I would probably still make the same decision, given the circumstances at that point.
Right.
Obviously, I'd like to say, oh yeah, if I could go back now, I'd choose Cincinnati, and this is the place where I want it to be, but that was the place for my best opportunity. So, and once again, another tough thing that I had to do, but I had to make that call, and I stood by my decision.
I know everybody that's sitting over here is pretty thrilled with how it's turned out. That's for sure.
Yep. I think so too.
I know it was a tough weekend for you after the last preseason game, and I know the fact you're on the 53 now and stuff, but I know Rocky Boyman and I were going back and forth on this, because when your guy 53, 54, or 55, you make it on Saturday, there's still that chance on Monday, depending on waiver wire and stuff, you can get released. But looking back on it now, are you glad the way it happened, or would it have been harder if you made the 53 and then a couple days later they go, we've made moves and there's no room for you?
I think that can go both ways, because you make the 53 man right away, and then get released, and you're like, okay, well, at least they were planning on me being one of their guys, and I know it's a numbers game and things have to get shifted around, but yeah, I wouldn't change anything. It's been a tough road. This year has been too. There's, I think, 6 weeks between Pittsburgh and Miami where I was on practice squad, and just wishing to get an opportunity. Those 6 weeks were tough, but like I've been saying, it's just making it all sweeter now.
I want to know how many tickets you're giving out to the family on Sundays.
It depends. I think last week was 8 or 10, and a lot of them have tickets already, so that helps. But if I could get them 50 tickets, I would, but that gets expensive in the NFL. It was a little bit easier in college, and you could bully the freshmen to give you their 4 tickets.
Bullying at UC reported here is breaking news. You know what? You become a part of this special teams group, and it's one that had its biggest day of the season against Cleveland. How much of learning special teams and figuring that out is about chemistry and young guys figuring out how to play with each other, and how much of special teams is just natural instinct that you've just got to find out how to make plays in what's sort of a jungle-like experience when it's going off out there?
Well, it's definitely both. A lot of people look at special teams and they're watching on TV and they're like, oh, that's easy. Those guys just run down, find the football, or block somebody, and it's not like that at all. Special teams is no joke. It's tough. You got guys out there on the opposing kickoff team that are 6'6", 265 pounds, running down at a 4 or 5 speed, and you're supposed to run back, set your feet, and go block them, and they can run you over or go either way. That's tough to do. That's no easy task. But when you get a good group of guys around each other, a good core group of special teams players, it's something special, and there's a bond that's made. Vinny Ray and Sean Williams and Jason DeMonch and Orson Charles, we have a bond, and we take pride in special teams, and I love playing it. It's definitely challenging, and you can feel yourself every single game get more and more experienced, and running down on kickoff, okay, stick here, stick there, rip move, whatever. You feel yourself gaining that experience just by getting out there and doing it. But it's something that we have to work on too. We take extra time after practice to get reps either on the sled or with Coach Simmons or whatever.
What makes Darren's had a lot of success, and you guys had a big moment with him against Cleveland. What has made him so successful in molding young guys? This is the second time in the last 3-4 years we've seen him do this with a group that was all new players, a lot of young guys. What has made him so successful in teaching you personally?
Well, he takes a lot of pride in his core group of special teams guys also. He has his guys, and when you're his guy, he's going to do he's not going to be easy on you. That's for sure. You can probably see that on the sidelines. He's not easy on us one bit ever, unless you're outside of football joking around. But he's a great coach. He doesn't leave any stones unturned. When his preparation, it's pretty wild. The stuff that he comes up with and the knowledge he has. He's been doing it for a long time. But he takes the extra time also to prepare his guys and to just get that preparation solid.
That first, being a hometown guy and everything, that Monday night game against Pittsburgh, when did you learn that you were being called up to the 53, and what was it like running out of that tunnel for a regular season game?
Well, during the week of preparation, during the week of practice, I knew that there was a chance that I was going to be brought up, and I was taking some different reps on special teams, a couple different spots here or there. I went to the hotel with the team the night before, stayed there, and then the morning of the game, Monday morning, Coach Lewis told me, oh yeah, we're not going to bring you up this game. Stay ready for next game. I said, okay, you need me for anything else the rest of the day? He's like, no, you're free. Go ahead, do what you want. And so I went back to my place, and my buddy called me. He's like, hey, let's go play some golf. And I was like, all right, I got nothing until 8 o'clock tonight. Let's go. So we went out to Blue Ash and teed off. I was even through 8 holes, and
got to sneak that in.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, because that's not an easy course.
No,
it's tough.
It's not.
And I had one unlucky bounce off a sprinkler head too. So and we were through 8 holes, and Coach Lewis calls me. He goes, "Hey, some minds were changed, and you're playing tonight." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "Nick, I got to go, buddy."
You should have said, well, listen, Coach, I'm even through 8 here. At least let me finish out the front 9.
I told him the next day, and he laughed. He loved that.
Everyone talks about what a big deal a leader is in a locker room. You've been in there the past 2 seasons. Who's the leader on defense in that locker room?
I would have to say there's a couple guys that on that defense with a lot of experience, and that a lot of guys respect. I'd say a guy like Domata Peko, a guy that's been there for a long time, does his job every single play. He's a vocal leader. Another guy, Reggie Nelson, he's more of a lead by example type of guy. I absolutely love Reggie, love the way he plays. In the linebacker room, you got Ray. He's been there for a while. He's a good leader. There's a lot of guys in there that can do a good job at leading.
We talked last week, and Marvin Lewis talked about Vontaze Burfict in here. You review film of him, you see what he does. What impresses you most when you watch film of what he's doing this year?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that in the future, Vontaze Burfict is going to be one of the greatest linebackers to ever play in the NFL. He is special.
Yeah.
When I watch film of our games, and I'm just amazed at the plays he makes. He makes 10 plays a game that usually a linebacker would be happy if they made 1 or 2 of those, in 6 games. And he makes them just, day in and day out. It's incredible. With his size and the way that he can take on blockers and, make tackles on ball carriers and the football knowledge that he has, he's a special player. And, Vontaze is one of my good buddies, and I have a lot of respect for him as a football player.
No doubt. He has been having a great season. Well, we're not done here with JK. We've got plenty more with him, including JK and I are going to have a bit of a putting contest, I believe. You talking about your even through 8. Maybe we should put you to the test, see if you can hang, even if I did bring my own putter. I don't know if you have your own yet, but we'll
mine's
see.
in my truck. I could grab it real quick.
Somebody make a run to his truck. The man needs his own putter because I don't want there to be any excuses in case you go down. So that'll be coming up later. We're going to have plenty more, so we'll be right back after this on Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by JoeSpotto.com.
Chris, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening? This place looks awesome. Brand new showroom, brand new service department. Now all I need is a new caddy. And I'm thinking the North American Car of the Year, the ATS right here. What do you think?
Nice car, Chris, and only $299 a month. But a guy your size, you need the comfort, the technology that this car has. The XTS for only $399 a month.
For $100 more, I can do this?
$100.
I'll win that from you on the golf course. Come on, let's do it.
Compliments of Camargo Cadillac.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the
I
bands
follow.
coming to the
Did you
city?
That's great. I missed the story.
She wore what?
If you don't read The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
The Moerlein Lager House is Cincinnati's premier brew pub. The restaurant features impressive lunch and dinner menus, as well as a wide selection of beer and other drinks. The Lager House is also proud to continue Cincinnati's brewing heritage by brewing their own fresh craft beer on site. Conveniently located along the riverfront, the Moerlein Lager House offers spectacular views while you dine. Moerlein Lager House. Celebrate the past, taste the future.
All right, welcome back to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by JoeSpotto.com. Of course, Doc has abandoned us, but that doesn't matter. We're still going to have fun. We don't need Doc to do this show.
We don't.
So let's talk. It's Thanksgiving week. So let's talk a little bit about food, a little Thanksgiving time. You were talking Thanksgiving this week.
I did. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. I had to ask the players, what's on your plate?
Well, this year my wife and I are going to deep fry our turkey. So it's going to be a deep fried turkey, and then my wife always makes nice collard greens, and so she always mixes in a little bit of Samoan food. So we get some corned beef, some pisupo is what they call that, and just excited to spend time with family and friends.
Okay. All right, what's on your plate on Thanksgiving? What are the sides, Marvin?
Candy yams, macaroni and cheese, greens. The best thing is obviously the dressing and the cranberry sauce. I eat a couple plates of that. But yeah, that's what it is.
Really, whatever's my wife is cooking, let's be honest. But I'm more traditional, turkey, honey baked ham, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, candy yams, greens, stuffing, and then sweet potato pie for dessert.
You guys are out of the kitchen, though.
Come to think of it, I'm having whatever his wife's cooking for Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you're just going to go over there. So it's really nice. Okay.
I'm inviting myself.
Okay, Chris Crocker, that's where you're going.
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys.
Absolutely nothing on my plate for Thanksgiving.
What are you going to have?
We got to weigh in on Friday.
Macaroni and cheese, but I'm going to be by myself this year. So, probably Popeyes.
Maybe sweet potato pie, some red velvet cake. Well, that's Christmas.
You can have red velvet cake. It's fine.
Candy yams.
Are you out of the kitchen? Do you stay far away from it, or can you cook?
I'm more like a overseer, making sure everything is running smooth. No kids running through the kitchen.
Oh, that's a nice job to have. Get to eat while you're doing it a little
Make
bit.
sure keep everything cleaned up after it's all done, stuff like that.
Thanks so much. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
All right, well, I got to say, Linz, my favorite has to be Andre Smith. Of all people to not have anything on their plate.
I mean, come on. I was so surprised. I was expecting, pumpkin pie, turkey, stuffing, everything. And he's just like, no, I'm not eating on Thursday. Little surprised.
Joe, should we alert the authorities in Kentucky for what's going to happen at Domata Pecco's house? When they start really getting it going, that's a serious job.
That could, but also, can somebody invite AJ Green over to Thanksgiving dinner? I mean,
okay.
Pop-Tarts and stuff. Somebody get him a plate or something.
We need maybe you can have AJ over to your house. I'm sure the Schaffer family function is pretty serious. What's a Thanksgiving like at your house?
Oh man, what's any Sunday like at my house? It's like every Sunday's Thanksgiving at our house. We always have family over, but it's crazy. Kids running around, dogs barking. Grandma bossing people around as usual. But
shot at Grandma.
I don't even know if she's sitting over there. I don't know where she went. She's probably back there telling them how to make the food. No, she's a saint. But we always tease her about being the boss.
Yeah. Now, the question I would ask you: what are your memories of watching football on Thanksgiving? That's become such a tradition. Is there something that always sticks out to you about watching football on Thanksgiving, or did you not even necessarily watch that much of it?
I know I'm always so tired that I'm like struggling to keep my eyes open, laying on the couch, watching football. But I feel like Detroit. Do they play every single Thanksgiving?
They do.
Yeah, I feel like I remember always watching them, but. My biggest memory of Thanksgiving is probably just trying to stay awake.
I think we all have that. I don't know about you guys, but Thanksgiving to me was always the Barry Sanders holiday. I mean, when you grew up, it was just, let's see who Barry Sanders makes look silly this year, and all the family can point and laugh.
And the turkey at the end of the game. I think that's my favorite, is they get to just chow down on turkey on the sidelines. Like
the Madden turkey with how many legs? By the time he retired, I think there was about 14 legs on that thing.
I still think the most notable Thanksgiving memory for me is the Pittsburgh-Detroit game where Phil Luckett called the wrong side of the coin. Yes. And Jerome Bettis is just looking around like, I called it right, which that was a bad run for Phil Luckett, because I remember covering a Jets-Seahawks game the next week where Luckett blew a call there too. Just not one of my favorite officials.
Nugget. Pittsburgh, Detroit lost every game after that game the rest of the season. Both of them did. Neither made the playoffs. What? There we go. Let's talk about a little bit about this Thursday so we can start looking forward a little bit. Green Bay at Detroit, Oakland at Dallas. Which one of those two games what are you most looking forward to there, Joe?
The Selena Gomez halftime performance of Dallas-Oakland.
Aren't you a little old for her?
That might be the only noteworthy thing from that game.
You go Selena Gomez?
At least it'll be interesting with the kettles and stuff.
Give us a Selena.
I'm not doing that.
No. You love to sing.
I ain't singing that. No. But I think Green Bay Detroit's going to be a very interesting game. That is a log jam in the NFC North. Tolson or Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn impressed me in the overtime of the Vikings game, so that should be good in Detroit trying to get back on track.
The tied game?
Yes, the tied game.
It will be interesting to see how it just goes to show it's a quarterback league. You got one and you don't. Look at Green Bay and how the Tides turned in without Aaron Rodgers, who's a special player. But let's focus on that night game. JK, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. You guys, you've seen them up close, both of them. Who impresses you more between Pittsburgh and Baltimore? They've been pretty close, and they've both had a real roller coaster season to this point.
You know, recently it seems like Pittsburgh's just been coming along a little bit better. So, I don't know. It's almost like once they get late in the season and playing in the cold weather and all that, I feel like they start coming alive. And, you know, Troy Polamalu's always been one of my favorite players, watching him growing up. And so I'd have to go with Pittsburgh in that one, just because I think they're starting to come along a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a scary thought for Bengals fans, is Big Ben, Mike Tomlin starting to get on a roll, especially JK. Baltimore, at the very least, comes to Paul Brown Stadium. You got to still go to Pittsburgh, which is just, it's no picnic.
You know what? I'm not too worried about it. You know why?
Why is that?
My whole life, I've never lost a game at Heinz Field.
Never lost a game in Heinz Field.
Lucky charm.
Including maybe the greatest win in University of Cincinnati history, Armand Binns.
2009.
Is that still go down as one of the favorite games you've ever been a part of?
No question.
No question. Number one?
Yep. Probably number one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one unbelievable game. So you are the good luck charm, so no worries there. Well, Joe, we've talked a little bit about Pittsburgh and Baltimore. We've previewed a little bit of what's going on in the AFC, but, you know, we like to debate each other on this show a little bit. So we don't have Doc here to be the completely partial judge, by the way.
It's gonna be
all he does is decide who has bribed him the most. But we've got Lindsay, who is much more intelligent than Doc and will be able to be a very fair and judicious ruler, I am sure.
I'm going to try. This is going to be so hard because I like the both of you, and I can't be mean, but I'm going to really try.
It's okay. I appreciate it. So we've got a few.
I can teach you how to be mean.
Yeah, that's true. Joe is excellent at it. He's maybe the best
I
I've
got
ever
a doctorate in it.
Little rolling ball of hate. It's beautiful.
Yes.
So let's go. First debate topic we've got. Most important player for the Bengals, not named Andy Dalton, over the last 5 games. Who you got?
Carlos Dunlap. I think what he's done at defensive end, just that the new contracts seem to empower him. Great pass rusher, been getting the deflections along with Michael Johnson. I think with Geno out, he becomes even more of a force. So really with Carlos Dunlap, you can't go wrong.
I see where you're going. It's about trying to slow other teams' passing games, but I'll give you this. Rivers, Big Ben, Joe Flacco, Andrew Luck, all still on the schedule. The Leon Hall injury that happened before is really going to come into focus now this last 5 games. And to me, that falls on Adam Jones, who is the new guy in that spot, who has played well. He's had a good season to this point, but he's never been tested in this type of a high-pressure environment, at least not this season, like he's going to this game. Although, you got to say, they've had some of their best games defensively when Leon Hall was out, even the New England game. But I still think that a lot of that falls on Adam Jones. He's been the only one, really, that's shown a liability back there, so I think it's on Adam Jones. Let's go number 2. Who's been the best injury fill thus far? Adam Jones, Vinny Ray, Brandon Thompson all filled in over, particularly over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Who do you like there?
Go Adam Jones. 23 targets, past 4 games, allowed only 12 receptions, no touchdowns, pick 6 against the Jets. Seems to be coming into his own, playing very well and at a high level right now.
I'm going to go to the linebacker room, and you know plenty about this, JK. Vinny Ray, because of the fall-off that was possible, because he had not played a whole lot, Vinny Ray came in and did something that they absolutely had to have when there was a huge question mark. Adam Jones, you knew what he could bring to the table. You knew who Adam Jones was. Vinny Ray, no one knew, and what he brought in the games that he's been in so far has been an absolute game changer for this team. And now everybody's walking around on 2 feet again, and the linebacker room suddenly looks healthy. And now you've got a plethora of good players. I think it's Vinny Ray. All right, let's get into some fun here. We're going to San Diego. Anchorman 2 is coming out. Joe, take it or leave it?
Leaving it. It's not in San Diego. You can't beat the original. I did, the whole Zeus scene and everything and stuff. And the whole cable news thing. Network news in the 70s was where it was at.
I think we can admit that Anchorman was one of the funniest movies of all time. Can you give me that?
Yes, it was. Yes.
One of the funniest movies of all time. Can we at least give it a chance? You're already leaving it. I mean, at least go in the theater, and I'm going to give it a shot. I've got my doubts. The second one, we all saw The Hangover too. Well, no, we didn't. Actually, a lot of people didn't. It was terrible. But I hope it's not going to be a recreation of that, but I'm at least going to give it a shot. At least give Will Ferrell a shot, Joe.
But it'll sully the original.
Yeah. Well, only if you let it sully it. Don't let it sully it. All right, so here's the important one. Most overrated Thanksgiving side. What do you got?
I got the yam.
You're going yam?
I'm going yam.
Anti-yam over here.
I mean, it's sweet. It's only used once a year. Everybody gets all confident for it one day out of the year, and if you undercook it or overcook it, it's disappointing. To me, it's overrated.
What is always, I don't care where you go in America, you know what's always left? It's the cranberry. Nobody wants a cranberry. Speaking of when are we eating it, when are we really getting into the cranberry
situation? Have you ever had
situation?
vodka and cranberry?
Well, okay, outside of one of those. I'm going to eat a little, it looks like Jell-O. I'm uninterested. There's all this good food, hearty stuff that's going to make me sleep like JK does on Thanksgiving. That's what I want.
You want a good sauce with your cranberry. You can't sauce a yam.
You can't sauce a yam. That is true. Words of wisdom from Joe Reed here today. You can't sauce a yam. What do you got?
All right, I'm going with first up. I think Carlos is the big deal. I think he's what's going to make the difference in the second part of the season. So Joe gets that one. Second, I'm going to go with Vincent Ray. I think the way he stepped up, that game that he stepped up in should have been the Vincent Ray game, but we won't remember that because they lost in that game. But the way he has stepped up, it's going to be a little harder for Ray Maluga to get back on that field. And Will Ferrell is always funny, so yes. Anchorman 2 will be funny. And I've never had yam or cranberries. So.
You've never had a yam or?
No.
Have you ever had Thanksgiving?
I've had Thanksgiving. I've had it. I'm more of a pumpkin pie, turkey, stuffing. So that's just a draw. We'll just go with tie. It's kind of popular in the NFL right now.
I believe I just won.
You're
2-1. Thank you, Lindsay. You are an excellent judge. We appreciate it. You'll be asked back every week. All right, we're not done. I'm not done winning. JK is going to take me on in a putting contest. He's already gone to get his putter. It's been delivered, and you even had the cover on it still, which I'm slightly concerned about. But that's all right. So we'll be right back here on Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by Josephato.com.
Chris, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening? This place looks awesome. Brand new showroom, brand new service department. Now all I need is a new caddy. I'm thinking the North American Car of the Year, the ATS right here. What do you think?
Nice car, Chris, and only $299 a month. But a guy your size, you need the comfort, the technology that this car has. The XTS for only $399 a month.
For $100 more, I can do this?
$100.
I'll win that from you on the golf course. Come on, let's do it.
Compliments of Camargo Cadillac.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the bands coming to the
shared
the story.
She wore what?
If you don't read the Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
The Moerlein Lager House is Cincinnati's premier brew pub. The restaurant features impressive lunch and dinner menus, as well as a wide selection of beer and other drinks. The Lager House is also proud to continue Cincinnati's brewing heritage by brewing their own fresh craft beer on site. Conveniently located along the riverfront, the Moerlein Lager House offers spectacular views while you dine. Moerlein Lager House. Celebrate the past, taste the future.
All right, welcome back to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, still presented by Josephato.com. And it's competition time, JK. A lot of competitions have happened here. Some have really hurt Joe Reedy. Some have nearly injured George Iloka, but we're going to keep it pretty safe here with a little safe putting contest. Now, the history behind this is, you told me this, though, that of all that you've done in this city, and you've done, I think, every single stadium you've had a moment in, including Great American Ballpark, where you hit a home run when the Bengals went and did batting practice earlier this year. You said one of the greatest things that you've done was when you won, it was like a semifinal club championship match that you won in a comeback. Is that still number one for you?
I would have to say so. I don't think this thing's on anymore, is it? Or is it just my mic? I don't know. But, yeah, I was down 3 with 4 to go in match play in my club championship at Clovernook Country Club. And I came back and won 15, and won 16, won 17, and or started 16, 17, I don't know. But then I needed a pretty good putt on 18 to tie it, to send it into extra holes. And I hit the putt, and we went to the first hole. It was a par 5, and I hit my best drive that I hit all day, put it to like 130 out, and hit my second shot to like 15 feet for eagle. So that was a pretty cool moment for me, I'm not going to lie.
Par 5 to 130 out. I'm glad this isn't a driving contest. I don't think I have much of a chance in that.
I don't know if we have enough room for that either.
This is not a driving contest. This is not anything we're going to do. So let's do it. Let's get up.
Right.
Let's get to the putting. Now, you've brought your own putter, which I'm concerned. This is unbelievable. So you brought your own putter. Here's what we're going to do. Best of 5. Best of 5. I'm not going to move.
Must be me.
I don't know. Slightly concerned. You go first. You get the first shot. Let's get some noise out here. No. All right, send the ball back. Here we go. Missed the first one. I'm ready. Doesn't matter. Oh! It looks beautiful when it goes in. That's one. That's one. Doesn't matter how it looks. What do you got? Brings his own putter. Here it comes. All right. I would hope you could make one. Oh, that was money. No problem. No problem. You're a cheater. I don't know how I'm cheating. It's going right in the hole. Some more noise, please. There we go. Let's go, Bengals. Uh-oh. That was close, though. It was really close. It almost did go in. I thought it was going to. It looked good the whole way.
Okay, let's have
All right. I know, I should have to. That's a stroke penalty. All right, here we go. You need this. Oh, no! I think I need one more. I think it's close here. I think I need one more. Let me get one more. Just to end it. Make it feel good. You gone 5 times or 4 times? I think you've got one more to go. I'll give you a chance to tie. It's a pressure putt. These are the ones that really count. Oh! This is going to be embarrassing to say you lost to a writer in a sport. We don't win many times. Maybe the only thing you haven't won in this city, I think. Well, hey, I want to thank J.K. Schaffer for coming out here. A great sport, fantastic having, of course. at Joe Reedy, at Lindsey Patterson, at Paul Daugherty Jr. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Next week, same time, 7 o'clock, Moerlein Lager House. Vinny Ray will join us. Your buddy. Vinny, go Bengals! Doc may be back if we decide to let him back, but it really doesn't matter. So we'll see you next time here on Beyond the Stripes without Paul Daugherty, presented by Joe Slaughterhouse.